Long gone are the days when we used to put ads in a paper. It's all through LinkedIn. It is the number one choice for us, is through LinkedIn connections. The idea is to always find an organization where you like the people, because the job you'll learn to love if you're open-minded, but the people you can't change, so you better enjoy who you're working with.
I failed to mention the CFA Society website too. I don't know, we definitely post on there as well.
It begins with a posting internally, and in most cases, we'll simultaneously post it externally. And we've got our recruiters recruiting internally now, and hiring managers are told, if we find high potential talent on your team, we don't want to risk losing them to the competitor across the street. People do business with people they like. That's it. We can find people that are technically qualified all day long, but the team that meets a candidate will come back and say, we didn't find the energy we need. If the conversation dies down, they're waiting for you to pick that conversation up. Personality will get you so far. Another great source is the internal network that we have, our
Okay.
employees that have come and have been great employees. We say, who do you know? Who have you worked with in the past? Who would you recommend to us?
For the overwhelming majority of the roles, we do post them on our website, on LinkedIn, through organizations like the CFA. We also do posts at schools. We use Handshake. It's much harder to search for a candidate who's got a very minimal presence on LinkedIn, and the more kind of keywords that match what we're looking for, the better, and the easier it is for me to pull them up. You know, we don't want fluff. Prior work experience and anything related to your degree or academic career that you're proud of, I'm much more focused on than how many people you have singing your praises down at the bottom of the page, because the substance needs to be there.
I think those keywords are so important. Even CFA, I'll start a search with that keyword in a location. LinkedIn is not Facebook. Keep it professional. If you choose to use a picture, my recommendation on the photograph, make yourself look approachable. The ones that kind of get under my skin are the family photos. I don't get that.
Keywords, more is definitely better. Avoid politics.
That I set up a job search on the CFA website when I was in New York and I wanted to relocate to South Florida. You know, put in all the criteria, South Florida, portfolio management, and I tracked that thing for 2 or 3 years before the job popped up that I liked. And then I wrote a cover letter that was very specific to that position, very specific why I wanted to move to the area. And the recruiter got back to me within a couple hours.
We also use the application process, the tracking system. It's all electronic, so there's an advantage to having everything electronically filed, and that leads to the affirmative actions and all the legal requirements needed to accommodate various states that have certain demands. That is definitely the wave of the future if it hasn't already gotten there.
If you are a large enough company and you're a federal contractor, you're actually legally obligated to post any role, even if you have an internal candidate.
So how big a factor are references in your hiring decisions at your firm?
I'll be honest, they're not that big a factor. If you're going to ask somebody to speak on your behalf as, you know, and recommend you for something or be a professional reference for you, please ask them what they're going to say about you. I mean, cover letters are important, like Andrew said, if you think it through. Don't just do something generic, please. Because the minute I start reading something generic, I say, could be a lazy person.
So they don't need to not have any felonies, and they don't need to do any drug check?
No, we don't do that. No.
Okay.
We do not do credit checks, and we don't drug test.
Okay.
Wow.
But
I think the LinkedIn recommendations might be good for just kind of some credibility. You know, I look at them. The things that jump out at me sometimes in the LinkedIn are awards and recognitions.
Okay.
This is a fiduciary type responsibility. In most cases, a credit check will be appropriate. We've changed from year to year, and again, that's all about compliance and risk, a whole different side of the bank.
If you fill out an employment application, tell the truth. Don't say you've never had a misdemeanor if you've had one. This has happened to a number of people I know with public intoxication or DUIs.
Your credentials, be truthful. Right. If you graduated from the school, that's great. If you didn't, don't say you did.
Do any of your firms Google the candidates?
No, absolutely, positively, no Facebook, no Google, no Twitter. The less we know about your social and personal life, the better it is. Also, it puts us in a disadvantage because then from a criminal situation, you can be discriminatory based on something you've seen.
7-second rule. If I look at a resume, I'm looking probably for 3 things before I even read your resume. I'm looking at the number of jobs you've had and the period of time that I'm looking at, are you a job hopper? Every 2 years, is your job changing? I look at your current organization to see if it might fit culturally or size-wise. Size is important when you say somebody that comes out of an organization of 25 people versus 55,000 people. Culture is going to be different. And then last, I'm looking at your title. Does your title seem to fit what I'm looking for? In that 7 seconds, now I figure out if I want to even read your resume. And if you didn't meet those 3 things, I'm probably not going to go any further.
Objective statement, do you recommend that or not? I don't know where we are.
Personally,
these days.
I rarely read them because I'm so disappointed in them.
If you're responding to a job where the requirement says strong attention to detail and you've got 2 typos in your resume, do I really believe that you've got strong attention to detail? Like now you've cast it out. You can't create job experience that wasn't there, but you can't prevent a typo.
Lengthy is boring, I was told
Yeah.
time and time again. Keep it short and sweet, to the point, and apply for the requirements.
I see it all the time. People put together cover letters that are full-page documents, and they'll start, Dear Mr. Franklin, I'm interested in the Kimberly Research Associate
Mr.
position.
Templeton. There's lots of great clubs out there, Toastmasters, just like things like that. Get into your community. I had our regional president bring a CV to me yesterday that says, look, she's got tons of great relationships in the market and she's a builder. Let's talk to her. She's not doing exactly what we're looking for, but I know it's somebody worth speaking to. Is you can set, like Andrea had mentioned, a saved search for yourself on that web page so that you can have the right job driven to you. You take advantage of some of the digital tools that are out there on the career websites.
And the CFA preferred, and if you're a candidate, does that weigh into the CFA, like your
Yes.
potential future CFA?
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
It takes people a long time.
That shows huge
to get it.
ambition
Yeah.
on the part of an individual. When they strike out to pursue that, that's a huge differentiator.
I like when I see people with initiative to go out and learn modeling or go out and learn something that you can take an online course. There's websites like Wall Street Prep where they'll show you how to build a model.
Oftentimes I'm asked by students, actually, I mentor quite a few, what should they pursue, the MBA or the CFA? And CNN has done it, and MSNBC has done it. CFA always outwins, both financially and from a prospect interview over an MBA. So if you're on the cusp, I don't know if you're pursuing higher education, it's not that it's not looked upon, but it's more economical to go the CFA route, and it's going to provide you the greater satisfaction monetarily later on as well. So just keep that in mind.
You can mention everything so that there are no gaps, but the jobs that were 20 plus years ago are one line on your resume with the dates. They don't need descriptions.
What about someone who's currently unemployed? How big a deal is it? What do you recommend people do to mitigate this?
Be prepared to talk about it. Be prepared to have an honest discussion about why there may be some gaps. What were the transitions? Was it due to relocation? Was it due to family situations?
If you're out of work, I know that looking for a job can be a full-time job, but do something. Go volunteer while you've got some free time on your hands.
Number of pages of the resume still matter?
One.
One if at
One
all
page,
possible.
yeah. Show your history. I mean, your history is your history. You should be proud of it, even if it's working at at a Chili's or a
Yeah,
Pizza
what
Hut.
if the hiring
Yeah.
manager used to work at Chili's,
Yeah,
right?
so now you
that's
have
the
a
reason not to
connection.
leave it out.
Yes.
I think you don't always have to wear a suit. I think the rule of thumb is whatever the dress code is for the company, you err on the side of a little more formal.
Common these days too is Skype and video
Yeah.
conferences too. So, get yourself set up, get your lighting right, open a window, put the plant behind your chair. You want to make it look like it's an office setting, even if
Yeah,
you're in your
no
bedroom.
dog barking.
Yeah, no dog
Yeah,
barking.
be on your-
Ask them if you can set up a test call you know, at a 5-minute test call, just can I make sure that this works?
So we've avoided using Skype, just as an FYI, and now all of our video conferencings are actually at specific locations. Apparently, there's some suit where people are recording their videos, and that's a no-no. If you're in person, colognes at a minimum, because that could also be distracting, less makeup, not too much, and just always be professional, and don't talk too much.
Why this firm, why this role, why are you interested? And you need to have that answer very crisp and succinct. And I usually ask it right off the bat. And if they bomb that answer, like, I'm not sure people really recover all that often.
Yeah. The interview is a two-way street. It is not just you being interviewed by the organization's staff. It's you interviewing them. One, that shows that you have an interest in learning more about the organization and the people. And two, it really creates more of a form of engagement where other questions can arise.
That may sound obvious, but it's super important. Know the philosophy of the investment team you're talking to. You know, is it quantitative math? Is it fundamental value? You know, you need to know that.
You mentioned earlier handwritten notes. I personally don't think that they're out of style just yet. I think they still weigh heavily with our organization. Be a good listener. When you're in the interview process and you're having a conversation, make mental notes or jot things down of something that was said by the interviewee and ask and reference it in your follow-up letter. Say, by the way, I really enjoyed learning about, you know, your affiliation with this company.
Yeah, and how you're going to solve their problem too, right? Because they're hiring you because they have a need. So whatever that need is, if you're listening to it, an email is fine for me, but, you know, I think we could do X, Y, Z, or, you know, I think my abilities would allow me to help you in this need that you have.
Attitude, enthusiasm, and a lot of energy, because 8 hours is a long day. And if you don't have all of those going with you, it's going to make it for a boring work week.
Generally, towards the end of the interview, I like hearing about people's interests outside the office. Have an interest. Be passionate about your interest.
I have had managers say, no, we're passing on this individual because they wore sneakers. No, we're passing on this individual. I never got a thank you response.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've had managers say, no, we're passing on this individual. They have no personality, Lisa. Big points for community service, engagement in your community, involvement. Absolutely.
It's about networking. So that's why it's so much more important to know about your extracurricular activity. Why? Because your network that you're bringing in is who could be of interest to the organization. This is definitely an industry of connections, and just keep that in mind.